As you can see here, I have a large range of pencils, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each type of pencil and then talk about how to sharpen them. Now, on the right side here, I have the mechanical pencils, and there's a vast array of them that I have. Not because I use them all, I don't. I use a few of them. But then, it's nice to sort of try different ones sometimes. My favourites are probably the Rotring 600s. I have a few of those, and they've got a nice weight in them that I like. But there's all sorts of different types of mechanical pencils, and these are the ones that you put the leads into. So I'll just take them all out like that. You can see that you have those leads that you put in the pencils when they run out. So that's a Faber-Castell lead, and that's what I use mostly. That's a H grade for a 0.35 Faber-Castell mechanical pencil. So that's quite a good pencil, but I actually prefer the Rotrins. They're my favourite pencils, the Rotring 600s, because they've got a nice weight in them, and you can put different leads in them. They've got a little kind of indicator there that you can move depending on which lead you have in them. They're a bit more expensive, but they've got a really nice weight in the hand, and I like that about them. There's lots of different types, so I'm not going to go through them all. The Kuratoga is supposedly a pencil, a Japanese pencil that is self-sharpening. It's not actually self-sharpening. What happens is it rotates inside and prevents it from wearing on any one side, so it doesn't flatten. What I tend to do with those pencils is just tweak them on a little sanding block like this, just a tip when I'm drawing, is just to take the tip, extend it a little bit, and just tweak it by rotating it on sanding block. That's just one that you use for your fingernails, or you can buy these ones that are specifically for drawing. And I just rotate the tip like that. So that's the mechanical pencils, and mostly used for line drawing for me anyway, and some small details. I'll move those out of the way because we don't really need to do much with those in terms of sharpening. I'm going to talk about the wooden ones lastly, because I'm going to show you how to sharpen them. That's the messiest job. The other ones that you can use are the clutch pencils, which are great for tonal work. Now, if you don't like sharpening wooden pencils, these clutch pencils are very good for that purpose. Now, I've got a few here. Faber-Castell do these very simple ones. They don't cost much, and you just put the replacement leads in them, the 2mm leads in whichever grade that you want, and you can see the lead extends like that, and it just grips it there. And they've got different grades on each pencil barrel, so you can put the correct grade. You can have a whole range of those. So I'm going to show you how to sharpen a clutch pencil using the Staedtler tub sharpener, which is this one here. And you can see the tip on that pencil. Move everything else out of the way. The tip on that pencil is blunt now. And what's on the top of the pencil sharpener is two holes. One's got a kind of fatter, blunt pencil, and this one's got a pointy sharp one. So you extend the point on the lead like that. Put it into the pointy one and close it down so that it is in the hole, and that gives you the lead the right length to go into this part here. So you're going to pop it into there, make sure it's all the way in, not apply pressure, don't push it down, just gently rotate it like that. And you keep rotating it, and you can hear it sharpening it, but if you press it down you're going to break it. So there's a bit of a technique involved in these things. It keeps going, you can hear it going, and when it stops, you can tell when it stops sharpening usually. Go round and round, round and round. It takes quite a while actually if your pencil's very blunt, but it's a very clean way of doing it. Okay, so and there you can see that's a really good sharp point on the pencil. So there's another good point. So a very clean way, quick way of sharpening your pencils. Always make sure you remove any dust from the tip of your pencil before you start drawing, and dull the tip a little bit. You don't want it so sharp that it's going to scratch into the paper. You want it slightly dulled at the very tip, so just use it on a piece of spare paper first before drawing with it. So finally, I'll move on to the wooden pencils. Now, I tend to do this outside. I go outside if it's a nice day and sharpen all my pencils, and I quite like doing that. But some people don't like doing that. They can't be bothered with it, and which is fair enough. It's entirely up to you. So what do you need? A big old craft knife is what I use, because there's a lot of weight and you can hold it with a lot of weight. So that's like a Stanley knife blade. It's like a carpet fitter's blade. Instead of this is too thin. A scalpel is too thin to sharpen a wooden pencil with. Now, the first move is to, let me find a blunt one. Okay, there's a H grade, completely blunt pencil. So what the aim is to do here is to remove the wood. Now, the biggest problem with this is breaking the pencil, and I'm probably going to break it because I'm telling you how not to break it, and that's what happens. But the secret is to make a shallow cut. If you start cutting into it, you're going to break it. So you're making a shallow cut and revealing the lead. I usually do about 2 centimetres. You won't be able to sharpen softer pencils in the same length. Whittling away at the tip, you're still using a very shallow angle. If you don't use a shallow angle, you're going to break it. You just keep rotating the pencil in your hand while you're doing it. Or quicker is to take the sandpaper. So I take the sandpaper or sanding block and put it on there and just rotate it like that. Rotating it here, you see, all the time when you sharpen it, otherwise you sharpen it on one side. Now you can save this graphite dust if you want to do any sort of drawing using a brush and dust as well, so you can save it if you do it in a separate pot, a clean pot. Don't sharpen it so thin that it's unusable. This will do. It's sharp enough, you can see. You can see that's a pretty sharp tip there that we have. Again, you would dull just the tip slightly. So that's a H grade pencil. You won't get them as long with softer grades, and certainly you won't get the black pencils like the Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black or the Pitt Graphite Matte by Faber-Castell. Those can't be sharpened in the same way. To be honest, you're as well sharpening those with a one of these sort of type. This is a Mitsubishi type pencil sharpener. You know, the old traditional type sharpener like that is actually the best thing for the very soft matte pencils. So that's good enough. That's a good sharpener. It's actually the Mitsubishi. It's a KH20. Makes a decent lead for those type of softer black pencils. The alternative way is to use the Kum German Masterpiece sharpener, which is this one. It does have a thing there with spare leads. I've just taken that off and probably lost it. Now that has 2 holes in it, as you can see, and one is for making the long lead initially, and the other is for sharpening the points. So I have a Mitsubishi High Uni pencil here, never been sharpened. So let's put that one in and take a wee while. And what you can see is happening there is this lead's coming through. So it's doing the same job of stripping the wood away as the knife. Now I prefer the knife because what you end up with is this sort of debris of wood. But anyway, it's very good. It's a good sharpener. So then you put it in the other side and it sharpens the tip. I find it still needs some tweaking. So put it back in there. It won't take any more of that off. It depends on the pencil, I think, how much of that you do end up with. And sometimes it leaves a little bit of a sort of double tip on it. You have to tweak a bit. So I end up taking either taking a knife to take away any excess bits of wood left on the graphite, and then sharpen it. Same way. Rotating just on the flat of the pencil, just moving it with your finger as you sand it down. And with the long leads like that, lasts for a very long time, because they're long and you just have to tweak the tip on them. So I quite like to have them like that. And it's pretty much the same with the clutch pencils, really. You know, it's got, you can extend the lead if you want to. The other good thing about it is it stops you from putting too much pressure on if it's very long, because you'll break it. If you put too much pressure on a lead that's not supported by the wood, you will break it. Clean it off. If there's any kind of dirt on the wood, I'll just take that off as well. It's like a little bit of an art thing in itself, sharpening a pencil. It's quite therapeutic. If you're not getting on very well with your drawing, just go and sit and pencil sharpen for an hour, and you might feel more ready to draw and more able to draw when you've finished it. So that's it. That's the methods I use for sharpening. When your pencils get very short, use an extender. I've got a few different types of extenders. You can pop them in like that. That one needs sharpening. These are like antique things that I buy. They're just novelties, really, just because I like them. There's those, and there's the antique kind of Victorian pencils that are quite pretty. They just have a lead that fits in them. Again, just sharpen them on sandpaper. They fold away, so they're really quite neat for travelling with, and extend out like that. And this one's got, I think, a 0.9mm lead. Then there's no real purpose to having them. You can use a mechanical pencil, but I'll just tell you about them anyway. And that's it. That's basically how you sharpen all those different pencils and what those pencils are for. So wooden pencils I use for line and tone work. Clutch pencils also for line and tone work, and mechanical pencils, such as these ones with the small leads, I use mostly for line drawing or hatching, or areas on tonal drawings where small detail and small spaces are. You know, say you're drawing something tiny like anthers in a flower, then I might use them for a job like that. So that's the 3 different types of pencil, and I hope you found that useful, just to learn a little bit about different pencils, how to use them and how to sharpen them.